Okay. Righto. Well, thanks everybody for coming along to this projector update. So we pushed a couple of updates through last week, and as we normally do, we push them through. We inform everybody about the updates are coming, push them through, give everybody a chance to touch and feel and that sort of stuff, and then we have, a week later, we have a session like this where we can do some present a bit of information about the update, but also give a chance for some question and answers. So this is recording now and will go up on the website later. So I'm Adam Northey. I'm with DPI, based down in Rockhampton. I work in the Paddock to Reef team, in specifically the management practice adoption part of the Paddock to Reef team. And I sort of have primary carriage for government side of things over P2R projector, and how that information then goes into it from Paddock to Reef, but also how we use the information that gets reported through Paddock to Reef projector and gets used into the Reef report card. So I guess probably start why the updates. So this update comes through as part of a broader plan of updates that happen in the Paddock to Reef space. So Paddock to Reef's primary role is about tracking progress towards the targets that are outlined in the water quality improvement plan. So this plan here is the 17 to 22 water quality improvement plan. And if you want to go and read what Paddock to Reef's role is, there's the website there. And you'll notice that plan has actually finished. So Nis was saying just before that there's a workshop on today with NRMs and industry people and that sort of stuff to look at the new plan that's being developed. So we're currently in the process of updating that, of building, and Office of Barrier Reef are in the process of building that new plan. Paddock to Reef then falls in behind it. So we, at the end of each of these plans, we take that time to update our models and the way we capture data and move more towards the way things are progressing in terms of what sort of funding we're likely to see and that sort of stuff. So we're right in the middle of that update process. So the bananas and grains models have been built. So we now have an opportunity to bring them over into projector for projects to be to use that new modeling to assess the effectiveness of future projects. Okay, so as I said, this is sort of the first one of a few things coming. So grains and banana update, that's the one that we've had, that's happening now. We'll be changing pesticide, we'll be bringing in a new pesticide project, bringing in a new pesticide project type towards the end of the year. In a few months, there'll be an other project type which is designed to be a catch-all for projects that don't traditionally fit in there. So we want to be able to have some public reporting around that sort of stuff. Early in the new year, there should be a new sugarcane model. So there'll be some major updates to the sugarcane model. And about that same time, there'll be some major updates to the delivery ratios that are baked into projector as well. So a few new project types will come in a few months' time, and then some pretty major updates early next year. Okay, so all of the updates that happen through projector get loaded up into the change log. So on the front page of projector, when you first log in at whatever it is, p2rprojector.net.au, if you go up to the top ribbon on there and you go support change log, you'll get to this page here. So anytime we make a change to the to projector or something, we put every time we make a change to projector, we put the update on here and we describe what the update has been. Okay, further along on that ribbon in the support tutorials section is a whole heap of information about, we try to create videos on most of the common things that happen in Projector. So adding projects, creating logins, adding users, creating collections, that sort of stuff. So this is a really good resource for people to go and have a look at. And if you have questions, that sort of stuff, this is a good resource to go to first. Go there, that sort of stuff. Past trainings are there as well. So this video will be uploaded onto that website in the coming days. Further along that ribbon is how it works. So if you click on the how it works and go grains, there's an explanation of how the grains modeling works, that sort of stuff. On that same ribbon, we have banana projects. So you can go to the bananas and an explanation there. Now on the banana page, down the bottom here, there is an additional guidance for the questions. So if you click on that button there, you'll download a document which gives you a little bit more. We've created a document that has a little bit more explanation on some of the terms in the questions and that sort of stuff. So that's available there as well. Now, for grains and bananas, this is a pretty major update in the way that we've done cropping in the past. So the past modeling that was in cropping was still run in Hauliiki, but we created a data cube and Projector looked up a data cube. So it was limited in that it didn't have all the possible combinations that could happen. So different practice combinations weren't represented in that data cube. So you might have had a particular type of tillage or fallow management and a particular type of contour management that mightn't have been represented there. So we were a bit limited in the previous one. With this update here, we are now actually running the model. So when you put the questions in there and you hit done, it sends a request off to Hauliiki and it runs the model. So for the actual combination of practices you have in there, that's what it's actually running this time. So it's a massive improvement on what was in the past. So the number of simulations in the old model compared to this model is vastly improved. The old model was pretty limited. I believe in grains there was like 13 or 14 combinations, and there might have been, I can't remember off the top of my head, maybe 100 combinations in bananas. Bananas has gone out to 7,000 or something like that, and grains is out to about 150 now. So significant increase in the number of combinations of practices that we're able to represent. So if you do want to go and have a better look at Hauliiki, you can go to the website, there you go, hauliiki.com, register, create a free account. You can go in there, have a look at, there's some preloaded studies and that sort of stuff and some information about how the model works. So you can click on those. You can get some information on, for this example here, Hauliiki's end model. So you can read about that. There's a whole heap of references in there, some conceptual diagrams and that sort of stuff. So yeah, interested in that, you can jump in there and go and look a bit deeper. Okay, so a bit of a preamble there of the projects. Now what I'm going to do is jump over, so I'm going to stop sharing this, jump over into, surround a bit, jump over to P2R Projector and open it up. Okay. Nis, you see my screen?
Yep, all good.
Awesome. Okay. So probably the first, so what I've done here is I've already loaded up a grains example into the into Projector. So I'm not going to go over how to create collections and all that sort of stuff. I'm hoping most people know that sort of thing. If you don't, go and watch a video. The first thing you're going to notice when you do load it up, the first major change you're going to notice is that the mask is different. So the mask that we apply to this map here shows where you can and can't put in projects. So in the grains example here, in the previous version of this, it was the mask was the catchment boundary. So all of the Fitzroy and all of the Burdekin catchments were not masked, so they were inside the area that you could draw it. So you could put a grains project anywhere in the catchments. You'll see this time now it looks a bit different. So what the mask now represents is where we have soil and slope combinations that we can then model. So this represents where the model will work. Again, because we're using How Leaky directly, this represents where the model will work. So you can see, we zoom into the Fitzroy a little bit, it collects the majority of the major grain growing areas, and then areas like that are unlikely to support cropping are masked out. So for example, you won't be able to put a project in this area here, whereas in the unmasked area, you'll be able to put one over here. Now, it's pretty good looking around, scrolling around, looking at areas and that sort of stuff. It's pretty good, but I no doubt there will be areas where grain cropping does, or bananas when we look at that, does exist and is currently masked. That's just means that we don't have the ability to model that area because we don't have the soil or slope information about that area. So yeah, so that's going to be your first major change you're going to see there. And if we go and have a look at a banana example and scroll out, you'll see the same sort of thing there. So bananas used to be the whole of the wet tropics, and now it's to the areas where we have information for the soil. So the majority of the Tully, Johnson, the tablelands are all in here, Russell Mulgrave, and then up into Lakeland and that sort of area there. So these are the only areas that we currently have the ability to model. Again, I think it's okay, but there is likely to be the occasional area where bananas do occur and they are currently grown, but we just don't have the soil information to be able to model those areas. And then you're going to have areas like around here where you're actually outside of the reef catchment. So we don't have a model for areas outside of the reef catchment. Okay, now go back into grains. So just before I get into it, there are a few, and you'll see here, I've put a few projects in, and I've got a project here that says catchment error, and it shows me a catchment error. Now, the way that this model has been constructed is that it works. It needs to have the whole of the project inside of a particular catchment. So if I open up Google Globe, Queensland Globe, and I've turned on the catchment boundary here, so you'll see when I'm talking about catchment, I'm talking about the major subcatchments in the reef, and then areas in the Fitzroy broken down in, and Fitzroy and Burdekin broken down into the major subcatchments, so Comet, Nagoa, Isaacs, Dawson in here. So you'll see occasionally you'll have areas where the catchment boundary runs, so just south of Emerald here and Gindi, where it does run through, the catchment boundary does run through the middle of paddocks. So these areas here will throw an error when you draw them in. Now, you'll get similar sort of things in the banana region as well. Sometimes it will run through through some paddocks where it could throw an error. And my example is this one here. So this paddock here, I went and had a look at, and it does, the catchment boundary runs probably where those contour lines are there, it runs along that. Now, if I draw this whole area in, you'll see down the bottom here, I get this error. How leaky error, paddock intersects multiple background subcatchment geometries, can't process. Okay, so to fix this error, we need to enter it as this one here, catchment no area, as two separate boundaries. We will be bringing in in a future update. We just got away from us and we forgot about it. This update, the ability to bring that catchment line boundary in so you can sort of see where the boundaries actually are. But if you enter it as two separate polygons, it will work and it will produce a result for you. So if you do run into this error, this catchment boundary error, that's what the cause of it is, and the way to fix it is to split it into 2 polygons, for one for each side of the catchment. Okay, right, so while we're on grains, let's have a look at a pre-run project. So I've already put this project in. So I've gone through the process of adding a project. I've found the location, so right in the middle of Rockhampton. I've drawn the polygon in. I've entered the details that I've want in here. So I've called this Rocky site. Not put any funding and that sort of stuff in there. And then I've gone over to the survey. So with grains and with both of the surveys, the survey is very different now. We've stripped out things that don't make a difference in the way the model works. So and things that we sort of can't at this stage model or measure on that sort of stuff. So in grains, we removed the pesticide questions and the nutrient questions because we're not modeling either of those things. Pesticides in both grain and in bananas, we removed the pesticides as well. Pesticides in everything, so grains, bananas, sugarcane, horticulture, will be handled by the new project type coming down the track, will be a pesticide project type. So we run through here, we do our before and after for each of the different questions. And then if we do chain, then we will hit that way. And when we hit save, now the thing you'll notice is that it is a bit slower now than it was before. So when I hit save, it does take 30 seconds to a minute to give you a result. In the previous one, it was instant. So because it is sending a request off to How Leaky's calculating it, sending the information back, it does take a little bit longer. So just be patient with that. So now that I've put that in, I now get a result back here. So this one here in the middle of Rockhampton, so there's quite a bit of slope here, and the hospital's on top of the hill, and then it slopes away everywhere around Rockhampton for those who know Rockhampton. So yeah, if you were building contour banks and farming this area and making some changes, that would be the saving at the end of the system that you would see. Okay. So that is grains example. So we'll jump over into a banana example. So put one in here already at South Johnson site here. Again, I've gone in, I've drawn it, I've added the project details into it, a bit of an explanation, and I've run through and done the survey. So we've broken the survey up into those areas of the model, which for how the model works, so soil conservation and all of that sort of stuff. And then, so we've broken those areas up there. Now, again, there is, if you go to about, and then we go to how it works, bananas, and we go down to the additional guidance here, we can download that document, which gives you a bit of an explanation about what things like moderate or minor erosion mean here. So we've gone through and said it's all pretty flat. Nitrogen applied here. We've added a whole heap more nitrogen bands in. So we've said it's this far. So we'll leave that. We will change this one. So we force it to do a calculation. And we'll leave this one here as well. So again, it's going to run off and do the How Leaky calculation and return a value for us. And in this case here, we're looking at about 3 kilos of DIN saving from that 1/2 hectare there. Okay, so they're probably so they're going to be your major differences. Like I said, the surveys are very different. You would have seen as I went through the banana one and also the grain one. Like I said, for both of them, pesticides have been removed. They were in the previous project, and now they're not in this version of they're not in this version of either of these project types. Be handled by pesticide project type down in the future. Nitrogen nutrient management in cane's been removed. In grain, sorry, has been removed. Basically because we're not modelling nutrients in grains anymore, so we didn't want to have questions in here which didn't actually have any impact on the loads or anything like that